Okay.
All right. I call this hearing of the Archaeological Review Committee of March 18th, 2021 to order. May we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Courtney Ann Williams.
Present.
Dale Zinn. Jake Ivey.
Here.
Derek Pierce.
Present.
And David Eck.
Present.
We have a perfect quorum, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We'll move to approval of agenda.
Do we have any changes to the agenda, Mr. Chair?
None that I know of. Nicole?
No,
Did we ever get minutes? I don't believe I ever saw the minutes.
I think we
They
did get
were
minutes.
emailed with the agenda for this meeting by Nicole.
I got them.
Oh, I must have missed that.
on the 4th of March. I sent
Okay.
them immediately after the last meeting. So, do you want me to send them again to you?
I move for approval of the agenda.
No, that's not necessary. Thank you, though.
Mhm.
I second that.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Yes, Derek Pierce.
Aye.
Jake Ivey.
Aye.
Courtney Wands.
Aye.
Dale Zinn.
Aye.
It is approved.
Thank you, sir. We will now move to item C, approval of minutes of February 4th, 2021. If those of you who've had a chance to look at them, you go first. I'll take Member Pierce last. So how about Courtney Wands?
On page 2, under new business, background and summary, I think it's the wrong background and summary. Same with the staff recommendation. It looks like it's the one for OAS instead of members.
Oops.
You are correct. That is an error.
That was it. Sorry.
That's all. Okay. Members in.
I have no correction.
Okay. Member Ivy.
No corrections.
And I apologize for my inability to speak clearly. There are numerous unusual words and phrases in the entire section attributed to me, such that it mostly reads as, to put it politely, nonsense verse. And I'm at a loss to how to correct it. It would take hours. So just be aware that somehow or other, what I say does not seem to come through to the universe at large.
Okay, could you identify the page where it is?
It begins on page 5 of the minutes and goes through page 7 of the minutes.
I'll go back and listen to the recording. If you would like to postpone these, I can submit.
I think that's a good suggestion. I'd move to delay the approval of the minutes until some clarifications can be made.
I'll second that because it'll give me a chance to read them. So,
Moved and seconded. Thank you, guys. Let's have a roll call.
Courtney
Nicole,
Ann
if-
Wands. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask Nicole if you would send me those minutes again. I can't seem to find them in my email.
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, Courtney Ann Wands.
Yes, aye.
Derek Pierce.
Aye.
Jake Ivey.
Aye.
Dale Zinn.
Yes.
It is unanimous.
Thank you. We will now move to find the page. There it is. Matters from the floor. Anyone out there in the audience wish to raise their hand to raise an issue from the floor?
I see no attendees, Chair Eck.
All right, then we will move to E on the agenda, that's old business. These are all matters that were postponed from the March 4th, 2021 meeting due to a misadventure with publication of the meeting details. So, item 1, case number 2021-3100, Ron Winters, agent for Chuck Staven, requests approval of an archaeological reconnaissance report for a lot split of 3.119 acres at 1122 Old Santa Fe Trail in the River and Trails Archaeological Review District. Nicole had given us a staff report. Any changes to that since originally submitted?
Correct. The only changes I made were to remove the code citation and other information. But my staff recommendation is the same in deferring to the ARC for approval.
All right. At this point, we will give the floor to the presenter. Winters will have, excuse me, Courtney?
Sorry, I was wondering if I could recuse myself from this since I was not here for the first part. And when I tried to read the minutes, I was a little confused what was going on. If that would be all right. Or I could just say no comment, I guess.
You may recuse at your discretion if that's your wish. We will take that as given.
Okay.
Welcome if you got them.
All right, now, the presenter, Mr. Winters, will have to be sworn in.
His mic is not up right now.
He is muted right now. Thank
Now
you.
he's up.
Mr. Winters, under penalty of perjury, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, Ron.
All right, Ron, it's your floor if you have something to tell us.
I do, David. I have a few things. So, Nicole, how do I see myself on the screen? Because it just says my name, or does it?
You
Lower
have to
left,
enable the camera.
On start video? No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure that you
Oh,
weren't
there
seeing
you are.
just
there
the
you go.
top
There
of my
you
head. Oh, there we go.
Take it down now.
What?
Definitely.
Okay. So I do have a couple things to say. And first I wanted to thank the committee for your input on, how to make this a better report. Sadly, the reason I was here and was not able to attend the last meeting is a lifelong friend of mine passed away after a short bout with cancer. And being a cancer survivor myself, it was rather devastating. It's the guy that I knew from high school. So where do I start? Okay. So I want to give a little background. When Lou Hecker was still at arms, she directed me to use that LA 38648 for site, any Santa Fe Trail segments, believing that they could then be ID'd as such, wherever they were. And I understand the complications in doing that, but that's what I got when she was there. And then 3 years ago, Dee Dee Snow directed me to obtain an LA number for each individual segment of the Santa Fe Trail. And that's what I had done. And sometime in the last 2 years, she had gone in and arbitrarily assigned new LA numbers to those segments that I had given the old number to on parcels, to the west and southwest of the project area. And let's see, I must have done something to upset Derek because I left the 3 messages for him to call back and he never returned the call. So I
Voicemail messages, Ron?
I'm sorry?
You left voicemail messages?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, I've been having trouble accessing and I may have wiped them out without knowing about it.
Oh, okay. I was glad it was-
We're working from home, of course, and when I call in, it doesn't go well for some reason. So
it-
email
it-
is best.
And I know it isn't easy to work remote, but I wanted to talk to you in quote person, about these issues. And it appeared that now David is setting policy at arms. So no, I'm giving you a hard time. But I did follow your direction and, gave the Santa Fe Trail segments the same LA numbers as segments that appeared to be a continuation on adjacent properties. And I did go out and ground truth that, which leads me to my next issue is that I understand that someone at the city had created a GIS map showing the project area with the trail ruts. And I did have that. I mean, I have that. But I wonder if this person ground truthed, that word, because, as with the use of LiDAR in recent years, it's not the be all end all. And it's a great use of technology, but you can, unless you can confirm what's actually there, it's another tool, I believe. And I've read, articles about this, where you can't just rely on it. So in this case, does the person calling these all trail ruts, when they could be footpath, a bridle path, certainly trail ruts, but what I have to do when I make my assessments is to see what's on the ground. I mean, I have, Patel and Teague's, map. I have numerous, maps showing trail ruts. But again, it really comes down to what can you actually see on the ground, and that's, there was as many as 6, I think, depicted on the GIS map. I did not see that. I didn't see anything to the far south. I saw the distinct one, to the northwest. But anyway, I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. Finally, I wanted to apologize for, giving the corrections piecemeal. It was a little difficult without a clear idea of exactly what was needed. I tried to address, your main concerns. So I think that's it. I think, that's all I, want to say. But just, welcome your input.
Chair Eric, I have a comment.
Go ahead, Nicole.
Just for clarification, so the map that was generated showing the trail ruts is the city GIS map with the overlay. And as we know from looking, at a couple of different maps, that the overlay isn't accurate. And then you can see some of the ruts from Google Maps or from aerial photos.
Mhm.
And then I did go out to the property and look around on that back parcel to get a sense and to let Mr. Staben know, just to confirm with him that there were remnants of the ruts or not. And that was the extent of the investigation that I did.
Okay. Yeah, and in the Patel and Teague's map of that, the south central portion, that actually, they show a break in it. And I did find that, where it's the same segment, but there is a break in the center where it was ill-defined, pretty ephemeral. And in fact, that whole section was, really rather difficult, to trace.
All right.
That's it.
Thank you. And were you done, Nicole?
Yes, Chair Eck, I am. Yep.
All right. Committee members, Mr. Ivy?
Did you say my name?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, it sounds like woo.
All right. You probably rendered what you heard very accurately. Member
I
Zinn.
have no other comments except for under the submittal, there was a conflict that says the architectural inventory of 3.119 acres proposed lot split, and the report notes the survey was 3.125, which let the record show that 3.125 is what we're talking about. I have no further other comments.
All right. Member Pierce.
Yeah, a couple of things. First, to lend support to what Mr. Winter's first point, we have gone back and forth over the years about whether to lump all the Santa Fe Trail segments under a single number or to give them each their own. We don't have a consistent policy yet, so that's behind some of the confusion. But for the time being, I think what Ron has done is correct, which is, give it a new number only if it is not already contiguous with something else.
Okay.
If you've got the same rut on two parcels, don't give it two numbers. But no, using 38XXX over and over again, I don't think that's where we're headed. I think ultimately we will create a district for the trails and relate each of those LA numbers to that district.
I think that would be really, because even when I do the background searches, Derek, you really don't know when it says road trail. You don't, if it's not identified as Santa Fe Trail, you don't know. I mean, you can't link them if you don't know.
Right, it's a bit of a catch-22. If you give each segment its own number, they're not related to each other.
Right.
But if you give them all one number, then you can't tell which piece of ground you're talking about. So,
Right.
yeah, so it is a confusing mess at the moment, but I think you've headed in the right direction.
Okay.
And we'll make it work here eventually.
Okay.
But for now, just keep doing what you did here, I think.
Okay.
All right, thank you. And then you mentioned that you gave us the corrections piecemeal. Is that why I have only 3 site forms and not 4? I wasn't sure if that was an omission or.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But no, other than that, I have no comments. I don't want to lose sight of the fact that the landowner is generously putting conservation easements on these, and we should get this done.
Yeah. He would appreciate that.
Yep, I second that. And my only purpose in this was to make sure that Derek and his shop got what they wanted, and it sounds like they have. And so I'm done. Thank you, Ron, for fixing all that.
Well, thank you. And as long as we make Derek happy.
That is my main goal in
As happy
life.
as I can be until we figure this thing out.
Okay.
It's a good first step.
Okay. I appreciate you guys' input.
All right,
Yeah, thank you, Ron.
Thank you. See you next month.
we can have the roll call now.
I don't think we had a motion yet, did we?
I'm
Oh.
sorry, I had to step away just a minute. Did somebody make a motion?
You're right. We need a motion.
I move for approval of 2021-003100 as submitted.
I second that.
Moved in second. Now we can have that roll call.
Dale Zinn,
Yes.
Jake Ivey,
Aye.
Derek Pierce.
Aye.
The motion is approved.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
It's understood if there's audience has their arm up that Nicole will let us know that somebody wants to talk. Otherwise, I don't think we really need to ask for public comment every time.
Well, I
We have none.
those hands. So my only hope is that if someone does raise their hand, Nicole will see it.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
You may forget to ask.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think actually though, and Carl may be able to have some feedback on this. I think it is required just for the administrative record to call for public comment.
That is correct.
I did after the fact. Does that count?
Yeah, that's fine. I'll just
Yeah.
note it.
But, and I'll note right now for the record that there are no public attendees, that there are only applicants present at the hearing. And no hands.
Point.
raised.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Excellent. So moving on to item F in the agenda for this meeting, which is classified as new business. We have case number 2021-3234. Tierra Right-of-Way Services, agent for Wilson and Company, requests approval of an archaeological monitoring plan for the city of Santa Fe's North Guadalupe Street reconstruction project from Olyfria Street to Paseo de Peralta in the downtown Archaeological Review District. We have a staff report. Nicole, anything to add to that?
A little bit, which is that we have like just some differences between the former city attorney's office and the current city attorney's office. And so previously, this case, I believe there was a question as to whether or not it should come to the Archaeological Review Committee for review. And the applicant was told, no, that isn't necessary. And then more recently, I said, yes, let's bring it. So it's already gone through New Mexico DOT and SHPO, but it is coming for your review and decision. Okay.
Thank you. Member Pierce?
Did we hear from the
Presenter, Trish Rood.
presenter? Yes.
Ms. Rood, if you will be sworn in, you can have your say about this.
Hi.
Hello, please state your name and address for the record.
Trisha Rood, and my home address is 1821 Chaparro Street, Las Cruces, New Mexico.
Thank you. Under penalty of perjury, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much. You may proceed.
Before, Tricia, is there anything you wish to add to the packet you've submitted?
No, I don't have much to add to the report or what Nicole had already presented. And so I await your comments.
All right. Now, members, start with Member Pierce.
You know, I like the monitoring plan. I would point out, though, that given where this is located and all the known resources in that area, it's going to get messy in all likelihood. It's not a question of will you find something, it's a question of when, right? So I'd just like to point out that it's going to require considerable coordination between the monitor in the field and the construction company. That's always difficult, but it's going to be especially important in this project. And then the only other thing I had was, given the higher probability of human remains, how are you defining the threshold between disarticulated human remains, which do not involve NAGPRA, and a burial? Where do you draw that line? It's not clear in the report. And since it's a decent likelihood on this project, I think it's important that your monitor on the ground can quickly distinguish between animal bone and human bone and make that kind of call of, is this an in situ burial? Is it a scattered cranial fragment? You know, that kind of thing. So, Could you address that maybe?
Yeah, I expect, especially because there's such high interest from Tesuque Pueblo in this, that we would be even disarticulated human remains, we would be treating them appropriately.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I have for the moment. Thank you.
All right, number one.
Sorry, have to always find the unmute button. I think it's a good monitoring plan. I worked on the Johnson Street stuff. Good luck with that. All I can say about that. There was also excavations there in 2012, which for some reason I know went through the city, but it doesn't look like it was registered in ARMS where that northern portion was mostly disturbed. Just seems like more the southern portion of that property areas where we're more likely to find things. But then also on page 49 under artifacts, I just note that you say these artifacts will ultimately be curated with the Laboratory of Anthropology. You should probably change that to MIAC because the artifacts aren't housed there anymore.
Okay.
Arms isn't responsible for those artifacts, so that was it though.
So specify Museum of Indian Arts and Culture, Museum of New Mexico, and that would cover it.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. That is all of this, Courtney? Okay. Member Ivy?
I have no comments.
Thank you. Member Zinn?
I only have one comment, Mr. Chair, and it's mostly self-serving, but I really think that when we have these projects that, as Derek says, cuts the swath through very much historic districts and listed buildings and sites, is it would be really nice when you list the building if there was a picture of that building. And only reason I say that is because it creates an inventory of a moment in time when that, it just shows that it's an opportunity to take an inventory at that snapshot at that time. And I don't think it would take a whole lot of effort to do that. But there's certainly no requirement to do that. It's just a nice thing to do. That's it.
I have one comment.
Yeah.
I believe that there was an inventory done for each of the buildings along that section of Guadalupe. So there was an APE defined with SHPO and New Mexico Department of Transportation. And there is really good photographic evidence and recording of all those.
Okay. I'll stand down then. Thank you.
Thank you for raising that, because I too had the same kind of concern. But knowing that it was done, I can be happy. Because this is a plan derived from discoveries, the items documented in that inventory being derivative, it doesn't have all the same information in it. And that's a handicap for those of us who weren't involved with the review of the first thing, because we're not left with all the pieces of the puzzle. Oh, okay. Is that everyone else? Did I miss somebody?
Nope.
Okay, then I have nothing to add other than that overarching concern for the very likely presence of a whole lot of archaeology
Fingers and toes
will be intact, and some of which will, in all likelihood, involve human remains. So we're approaching this as a discovery situation of unanticipated human remains. Experience over the last 30 years in Santa Fe with work in this area, I think would be sufficient to nudge this beyond the unanticipated discovery scenario and put it in the it's almost certain to happen scenario. So I think depending on what you find, I may recommend that we not have any more work here promulgated under an unanticipated discovery approach. But we'll do this one and see what you find.
Okay.
Having said that, then someone can craft a motion.
Mr. Chair,
Yep.
I would like some clarification on what Nicole said at the beginning, that this case almost didn't come to the committee. That would have been a travesty given the amount of archaeology involved. Is that,
I would agree. And so when I became aware of the monitoring requirement from NMDOT, I was no longer working with the city. I was no longer working for the city as an employee, but I was working with Paul in the water division. And so that was kind of how this discussion came about. I don't think I was the person that said that when I worked at the city, I've been trying to remember this. I don't think I was the individual that said that it didn't need to come to this committee. But somewhere between, I think, the time that I left and, about a year after, but New Mexico DOT did contact Paul, and I said, I'm not in the position to say what needs to happen here ultimately, because I was no longer in the role that I'm in currently as a contractor. So it's very, very confusing. And right now, just for your information, we are working on business process. And this is one of the items that will be addressed in that section that talks about projects that are federally funded.
good, that's where I was headed, was, are you confident that the policy is being refined to where we won't, the next time a scenario like this presents itself, it'll be clear that this does need ARC approval.
Yeah, we want to try and make sure that the incoming manager, one day, the incoming manager has a little bit more comprehensive understanding of the business flows of the division. So.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Anyone else in attendance that wants to raise their hand and opine or inquire about anything? Seeing no hands raised, we will entertain a motion.
I move that case 2021-00324 be approved as submitted.
I'll second the motion.
Moved in second, we can have a roll call vote.
Derek Pierce,
Aye.
Jake Ivey,
Aye.
Courtney Ann Wands, I'm sorry,
That's okay.
and Dale Zinn.
Yes.
It is unanimous, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. The last case, number 2021-3238, Office of Archaeological Studies. Agent
Thanks,
for-
Richard.
Did I miss something?
Oh, no, Trisha's going away and Karen's coming on.
Office of Archaeological Studies, agent for High Five LLC, requests approval of an archaeological monitoring plan for subsurface installation at 125 West Water Street in the River and Trails Archaeological Review District. We have a staff report, and I note that the staff report says it's in the downtown historic district.
Yeah, that's correct.
My apologies. Yeah, it's downtown, historic downtown archaeological review district. I may have been mixing up my historic districts with my archaeological review districts and abbreviating.
All right, just so we're all clear on where it is. Anything to add beyond that, Nicole?
Nope, nothing to add.
All right, then I see Karen Winning ready, willing, and able to offer testimony to this body. We need to have you sworn in, please.
Karen, please state your name and address.
Karen Wenning, 93 Apache Plume Drive, Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Under penalty of perjury, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Karen, it's your floor. Tell us anything and everything you think we need to know beyond your submittal.
Okay, I have changes on 3 pages. The first one is figure 2, which is page 6. Well, I don't know if this is going to show up with me. They are going to be accessing a portion of existing conduit that runs across Water Street at Don Gaspar.
Karen, would you like to share a screen or anything?
I don't have that. I think I submitted a revised figure for this one.
Let me see if I can find it. Hang on one.
Okay.
Yeah, I
And
think
go
I
ahead.
did see, I think I did see. that.
This is a minor change, but the conduit, as shown on figure 2, goes straight across Water Street, when in fact that existing conduit actually goes more at a northwest-southeast angle from corner to corner. And that was excavated 2 years ago by Cablecom, and we monitored, OAS monitored that. And there is no, okay, yeah, that's the revised figure. Thank you, Nicole.
Sure.
So all of the historic maps in the report will show that revision, that conduit actually runs more at a northwest-southeast angle. So that's one change. The second change is just a citation on page 18. And about 3/4 of the way down on the very last NIMCRIS number, NIMCRIS 147160. The reference in there says Wenning in prep, and it should be in press, which matches the citation in the bibliography. And then there's a second one that's almost at the bottom of the page. Another reference, it says Wenning in prep, and that should be Wenning in prep /A, which will match the bibliographic reference. And then the last change is on figure 13, which is page 31. And I think there should have been a revised map submitted for that as well. I'm sorry, I don't have a screenshot ready for that.
Which map? I'm sorry.
It is figure 13.
Yes. Let me open it.
Okay, thanks.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay, where the big green arrow is, that conduit route is going too far north. So it should end just a little past the Adobe building immediately on its east side. And that's also going to be revised in the final version. So those 3 changes are the ones that I noted, and I await your comments.
All right, thank you, Karen. Committee members, Mr. Zinn.
I don't have any comments except for I did extensive amount of historic renovations in pretty much all the buildings on that block for the Barker family. And probably this was 15 to 20 years ago, there was and I don't know if Karen knows this, but there was a fairly large upgrade of the electrical transformer that's back there in that alley.
Okay.
And I don't know how much disturbance. I don't think there was any archaeological oversight of that, but I just know that there was some disturbance going. Well, you can see it when you get back there. Just on the other side of the old Normandy Hotel, there's a transformer, and then all the conduits went on to the rest of the properties, including the back of Starbucks, which was the old Pfluger General Store, which was the first one out of Lamy. So there's a lot of history there. Anyway, I think, I don't know if that helps you or hurts you, but anyway, it did happen. That's all
Okay.
my comments.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Member Ivy.
Oh, sorry. I have no comment.
Thank you, sir. Member Wands.
No comment, just I really love the way you put these together. All
Yeah,
the
they're
maps.
just terrific. Huh?
Here. Member Pierce?
No comments.
All right. That leaves only me with some confusion on page 4. And it has to do with dimension. So taking it on faith that the folks installing this actually know how many feet of whatever they're going to need to get from point A to point B. I won't question any of the measurements in and of themselves, but somehow they don't seem to match the image and the distances given on the various sources.
Okay,
There is
Um,
one dimension that does not match anything that I can discern, and that is right in the middle of your last paragraph of project specifications on page 4. The sentence beginning, the second line will continue 50 feet west down Water Street. If we go 50 feet, we'll be running into the front door of the next building beyond. So
Yeah.
it was supposed to be 15.
yes, in fact, my guess is it might be more like 5, because it's very short, stub out from that vault. So yeah, I think that's a typo, and yeah, I'll get that corrected. Thanks.
Okay, that's my resolution of all my confusion is let's just make that a smaller number and I'll be happy.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I'm done. Someone in the audience who isn't presenting have a hand raised by chance?
There are no hands raised.
So we can entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve case 2021-0032838 with one
Okay.
minor correction.
Did you know what that correction was?
The distance, the last thing that
5
David
foot
was just talking
distance.
about.
All right,
Yes.
I second that with the modification.
All right, we are moved and seconded, but I have to continue the discussion because I just stupidly noticed another problem in that same paragraph.
Okay,
The very first line. Proposed insulation starts at an existing vault at the southwest corner of Don Gaspar. And I think you just told us that that length from the southwest corner across the street to the north side of Water Street was already there.
yes. Yeah. So when I say begins, I was referring to the new conduit that will be running west of there from that existing vault. So they will be accessing that green stretch that's oriented northwest, southeast. I'm not sure exactly which order they're going to do that in. But they will be digging up that. Okay, now that I'm looking at this again, I think where the confusion might be is the vault, the existing vault at Don Gaspar and Water Street was excavated 2 years ago during the Cablecom project as well. And they'll be getting into that to connect the cable to that. So yes, that should be changed. The sentence in there should be changed to reflect that they're going to be accessing the existing vault, going across the street to a new vault, and then moving west. So I think, yeah. Yes, so yes, thank you. I will change that description.
Okay. Sorry about that. I just noticed and went, ooh, I don't,
Yeah,
but now I understand.
yeah,
Can
if
you-
it's with the map
That's
change.
on,
Yeah.
that's on page 4. What paragraph?
It's that last paragraph, the only paragraph.
Specifications.
Specifications.
Okay. I just want to make sure I put it correctly in the motion or in the approval. Thanks.
All right. Apologize for all that, but we have a motion and it's been seconded. And I believe now that we're all clear, we should move to the roll call vote.
Eric Pierce,
Aye.
Courtney Ann Watts.
Aye.
Dale Zinn,
Yes,
Jake Ivy.
Aye.
It is unanimous, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Karen.
thanks, Karen.
Thanks,
you.
Karen.
And I can't cheer enough about the way you present all of that wonderful historical map data and interpret each and every little thing. And someday you need to give us a lecture on that lodge that was due east of Doodlets.
That would be really fun. Actually, I got so into this area. It was really great. 1,000 little interesting things, and I hope some of it's still left out there. So,
Yes.
All right, thank you.
okay, thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Item G on the agenda is administrative matters and communications.
My only communication is that the decision has been made to proceed with a 2021 Historic Preservation Awards and ceremony, and I'm working with Old Santa Fe Association and Historic Santa Fe. We're trying to figure out the details, and I know that archaeology projects are always a challenge for a nomination, but I have thought of a good one that I wanted to run by you all, and I, for the life of me, cannot remember the name of the house, but it is the project that the Office of Archaeological Studies did.
Shawna.
Yes, yes. Say-
Shawna,
Repeat
the
that.
Charnard House.
House.
Charnard,
Oh, the Chenard House.
Yeah. On,
sorry,
Yeah.
in New York, she's Charnard.
yeah.
Right.
Shenard. No, it's located on, it's where the museum foundation building is, the new museum foundation building off of Paseo de Peralta and Galisteo. And that came to the board maybe 3 years ago now, 2 or 3 years ago. But they did some really nice research and some fun experiments. And so I'll provide you all with the nomination form, and I'll be distributing it to people. But that was one that I thought might be a nice one. And if you have any others and you want to email me about them, then let me know and I'll draft the nominations. So that's my only.
I'm always in favor of owners getting awards for doing what they didn't really have to do. So I don't know if we have any nominations up there, but I think I'm always thinking awards need to go to the owners, not the archaeologists or the architects. It's really the owners making the right choices.
Okay.
We had a good candidate tonight in that vein.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
All right. And then one other question that just kind of came up in tonight or this afternoon's discussion is in regard to HCPI forms. Now, I think that we've seen a few times when knowledge of the built environment is informative to the archaeological surveys that are occurring. And I can, again, because we're going through this business process kind of thing, do you want to see HCPI forms when we're like in like the downtown area around built environment? Because we have forms for almost every property in one way or another. And I don't know if we can just convey that information as, you know, part of the research items that are of interest. Or do you can think about this too.
Well, I think that the real question is, do we want to overly increase the size of our package, or somehow we can have that as a show and tell during the meeting? You could throw that up. I mean, I'm familiar with a lot of these things. Other people may not be, but it does go hand in hand with, you know, where we're digging and what happened on that site next door and 5 feet away. You know, it's not hundreds of feet away, it's 5 feet away and that kind of thing.
And I can think,
As,
I can think of one project in particular at the corner of Delgado and Palace Avenue, where had the archaeologists looked at the HCPI form, they would have understood that the foundation they were finding was a greenhouse associated with the flower shop that used to be there.
yeah,
So that's kind of where I see the utility of it. Paul has a report that I'm almost finished with that will come to the Archaeological Review Committee at some point along Camino Ranchitos. And we did do all the HCPI research there just to see if there was any information. There was actually very few artifacts even in the trenches that they were doing. And in that case, we just kind of listed what the HCPI forms were and whose house it was. So there's like a variety of that kind of level of research. But we can be more, we're also redoing the website. So we can offer a section of like maybe some good things to consider, or, you know, that type of stuff. And just because you all brought it up with that North Guadalupe project, and I've thought about it before, I thought I'd bring it up. So.
well, I would think that if the archaeologist presents a plan and lists all those buildings, that they would have actually looked at them. I mean, they're listing them for just the sake of, yeah, here's one, you know, here's another one. But, you know, this is kind of a, you know, Chairman Eck kind of question is, well, if you listed it, did you actually look at it?
Yeah, I'm guilty of being a smart aleck and asking questions like that. You know, if it's required in the city that archaeologists actually look at these things before they author their report on what it is, and include those in their previous research in a substantive way, then it would be very useful for me to see that same info. But I honestly don't see a need for regeneration of those forms in paper anywhere. I would be ecstatic to get that as a massive email zip file and say, here's all the reference material that goes with the actual document. And if you look at it, great. If you don't, well, it's your fault.
Yeah, I would second that, Mr. Chair. I mean, sometimes it's one or two properties, but in the case of the Guadalupe Street, there would have been dozens of them, right? That's a lot of paper to reproduce.
And I do have that study. I can send it to you if you all are just kind of interested in it. I can send it.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that's PDF. Yes. That'd be
Okay.
great.
All right. That is all that I have for the moment.
All right, committee members, this is your chance to shine. Item H, matters from the committee. Got something going on they need to talk about?
Can I switch to getting digital copies instead of paper?
Sure.
I may move, I may not move. We'll see what happens. Just figure it's probably easy.
Some people are gonna get these stacks of paper every other month and like, what is
There
this?
is that too. We're trying to pack and all I keep seeing is stacks of ARC paper because I don't know what to do.
It burns pretty nicely in the wood stove.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that, no problem.
Thank you.
Anybody got any scheduling things to talk about?
Next meeting, April, what?
First,
Waste. Oh,
April Fool's Day. Hopefully there won't be any shenanigans, but
Be closing on the house if we actually get
oh yeah.
on the first.
Just close in the morning. Be good.
All right. We are at the next item on the agenda then, item I.
That's Jay.
Oh, I love this, my moment to shine. Anyway, I move we adjourn.
Second.
Excellent. Let's have the roll call and make it official.
Okay, Derek Pierce,
Aye.
Courtney Ann Wands,
Aye.
Jake Ivy.
I always want to say no at this point, but aye,
You can, it doesn't change
Right.
anything.
Dale Zinn.
damn, overruled.
Aye,
It is unanimous, Mr. Chair.
We are adjourned and you
thank
may
you.
stop recording.
Appreciate the effort to get a second meeting going